Breaking news. Trump news: why has the U.S. quit the UN Human Rights Council? The United States announced its withdrawal from the United Nations Human Rights Council, but why has Donald Trump quit the cesspool of political bias? Washington's withdrawal is the latest dramatic exit in a long string of U.S. rejection of multilateral engagements. Most recently, the U.S. pulled out of the Paris Climate Agreement and the 2015 Iran nuclear deal. This decision on human rights comes amid fierce criticism of President Trump's Mexico border policy. Children are being separated from immigrant parents at the U.S.-Mexico border and detained, in what UN Human Rights Chief Zeid al-Hussein called an unconscionable policy. Mexican Foreign Minister Luis Videgaray Caso said the separation of children from parents at the U.S. border was cruel and inhuman, and clearly violated human rights. Mr. Trump has defended the policy, taking to Twitter to say the U.S. needed to stop allowing immigrants to pour into and infest our country. Why has the USA quit the UN Human Rights Council? The USA was halfway through a 3-year term on the 47-member Geneva-based body, and President Trump had long threatened to quit if there was no major overhaul. Nikki Haley, U.S. ambassador to the UN, made the announcement, slamming efforts of other member states for blocking U.S. attempts to reform the council. She criticized Russia, China, Cuba and Egypt for thwarting U.S. reform attempts, saying the countries were unwilling to seriously challenge the status quo. The United States had called for policy reform on making it easier to kick out member states with poor human rights records. Speaking on Venezuela, China, Cuba and the Democratic Republic of Congo, she said, "Look at the council membership, and you see an appalling disrespect for the most basic rights." The U.S. allegiance with Israel also proved to be a factor in the decision. Ms. Haley said the disproportionate focus and unending hostility toward Israel is clear proof that the council is motivated by political bias, not by human rights. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has welcomed the U.S. decision. Ms. Haley attempted to reassure critics by saying the withdrawal is not a retreat from our human rights commitments. What has the reaction been? 12 human rights and aid groups, including Human Rights First, Save the Children and CARE, have warned the withdrawal would make it more difficult to advance human rights priorities and aid victims of abuse around the world. Jamil Dakwar, director of the American Civil Liberties Union's Human Rights Program, said Trump's misguided policy of isolationism only harms American interests. The EU said Washington's decision risks undermining the role of the U.S. as a champion and supporter of democracy on the world stage. British Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson said it was regrettable, and the Council was the best tool the international community has to address impunity. What is the UN Human Rights Council? The Council, a body of the United Nations, was set up in 2006. The member states meet 3 times a year to examine human rights violations worldwide. Situations in Syria, North Korea, Myanmar and South Sudan are among the investigations launched by the Council. UN officials said the United States would be the first member to withdraw from the Council.